This is Tony from Mammoth Underground Farm, and today I'd like to do a winter chicken update. So, alright buddy. So this winter, my chickens have been doing awesome with laying. I've been getting on average, 10 to anywhere to 14, 15 eggs a day, which is phenomenal for in the winter months. And I believe, well, part of it is because of the mild winter. We just haven't been getting really freezing weather, very cold temperatures, and that tends to shut off the chickens' laying abilities. It slows down dramatically when it gets really, really cold. We've had such a mild winter, lots of rain, lots of days in the 40s, even in the 50s, the ground really hasn't been frozen. So between that and then also I believe it's the size of my flock. I think I'm at a good number where the egg laying is pretty consistent. I've noticed when my flock was a little bit, when I was in the 30s, mid 30s, and I'll test this hypothesis because I'm going to be hatching out a bunch more chickens, and this flock is going to go from about a 26 count flock to around the 50s next spring. So I think that kind of has to do with it too. So the chickens know, like, hey, we need to ramp up our egg production because we need to increase, our numbers. So I believe it's a combination of the mild weather and my chicken flock, but we'll see, because I'll be in the spring and summer months when the weather's perfect, and I'll notice how my egg production does at that point. So right now you can see all of my chickens are kind of gathering in the corner. And this is because we had a really, really cold night last night into the teens, our first night in the teens, our coldest night. And they're kind of just all huddling together to get that morning sunlight. So my property line is about right here, right before my neighbor's house. So this is the east, the sun comes up. So it's almost 8 o'clock now. So the sun, it's got to penetrate. It's beyond the horizon during sunrise, and it's got to penetrate through the wooded canopy before I get some decent sunlight. But this is a perfect example of, like you have a plan. So I had a plan where, I ran a long perimeter fence to give them ample outside area to roam around on. But realistically, I probably should have carried this fence maybe out to here. But this is my garage, so I didn't really want the chickens in this area. But this would have probably, give them some earlier sunlight in the fall and winter months, and that probably would have been much appreciated by the chickens, because right now they just want to soak up the sun and get warm. Also, the area of my chicken coop over here looks a little raggedy because what I learned is their run for most of the spring and summer and early fall, has leaf cover and it has canopy. So really, they're really well protected from aerial predators, mainly hawks. That's the only predator issue that I have on my property. So once all of this canopy opened up, within a matter of weeks, I started having hawks perching. They kind of sit on trees back here, and they just wait. And the roosters will see them, but they're very patient and diligent, and they wait, and then they make their dive bomb into the coop. And they had several attempts and misses, but one day they did get one. And the guy was perched right up here. In the mornings after that attack, just waiting for the chickens to come out of the coop door. So I had to do something, and what I did is something they call bootstrapping. And bootstrapping is just using what you have on hand and making the best situation of what you got. So what I did is I had this leftover net, which was a poor plan on my behalf, because I was originally going to put this net across the whole entire run to give them aerial protection. But this netting is it's it sticks to everything. So being that I have a run that's just not grass, but has lots of tree, leaves, twigs, it was a nightmare trying to get this over, because anytime it touched a leaf or a twig or a stick, it would get all bunched up. So I gave up on that. So I did use it temporarily for some overhead protection to here. And then I just used extra fencing to do this kind of like hoop house enclosure. And then a tarp at the end to give them an area where they're 100% secure, where there's no threat of predators. But I did give them little spaces back there, and I opened up the tarp over here so they can get out there, and do some grazing. But if they feel threatened, they have a safe place where like there's no threat. So when the canopy fills back up with leaves, I'm gonna take this stuff off, and then I'll probably next year I'm gonna do a better solution here. I'll probably high tunnel it with cattle panel and do it a little bit longer out, and put some tarps over it too, to give them some weather protection from rain, so that they can be outside and not get rain or snow or whatever from the elements. But it's going to be a yearly temporary solution. Also, I'm going to bring in a couple of guard geese and have turkeys. So with the combination of the new high tunnel, the guard geese, the turkeys, having roosters, I'll probably, in my next batch of chickens, I'll probably have another rooster. So I think I'll have better protection for the chickens, as far as warning. That's all chickens and birds really do, is they vocalize, they call out when they see a threat. Guard geese are better at that than roosters. So, and then maybe down the road, instead of doing a temporary high tunnel system in the fall to give them protection, I might bring in a miniature donkey in here. Got to research that a little bit more, but I'm hoping if I had a donkey in here with the chickens, and as long as they acclimated well, I would hope that the hawk wouldn't even bother, seeing that there's a large donkey in the area. And whether the donkey would attack a hawk, I know donkeys are awesome with goats, because they'll attack wolves and coyotes, but I have no idea what they would do if a hawk flew in and tried to grab one of my chickens. So you always have plans, but you got to make modifications. Use what you have on hand, do a little bootstrapping, keep your chicken safe. But observation is, you have a plan, but you got to observe. You got to see what your chickens are doing, how they're living. But these guys are very healthy, got lots of full feathers, well fed, acclimate very well. Those birds, usually when I hear a lot of chatter with that, there's usually larger birds in the area. So one of the advantages of having a lot of wildlife is, they understand the calls, and they understand when there's a possible threat. So that's my winter chicken update. Still getting lots of eggs due to the mild weather. Probably getting anywhere from 10 to 15 eggs a day, which is crazy in the winter. Usually it's down to 4 or 5. But we've had such a mild winter. Nights barely reaching the 30s, having lots of 40, 50 degree weather. So they've just been, and weather is definitely a stress on the chickens. When it's really, really cold, they tend not to lay that much. Their biological system's probably telling them, hey, let's preserve this energy for survival rather than, reproduction. And they haven't really had a need for that because we've had such a mild winter. So today being the coldest day of the winter so far, I'm guaranteeing that I'm not going to get a lot of eggs. Maybe a normal 10 to 15. I'll probably get, I would say, 4 to 8 eggs today. These birds are really chattery. Yeah, sometimes when they make a lot of noise like that, there's bigger birds of prey in the area. I don't really see anything though, but it's hard to see the hawks. They blend in really well. But my chickens are smart. You know, they'll huddle near trees, but still, even out there, they're a little vulnerable. But I have my 2 roosters are out there in the middle of the pack, so they're keeping an eye out, and they learn. After that one loss, that attack, they're on better guard. And the hawks, from my notice, they tend to like the white chickens. This hawk was after my Americana. Fortunately, I was looking forward to my Americana chicken laying some nice bluish greenish eggs, but she didn't live. She was targeted. The hawk was constantly targeting this Americana chicken. I think because of the size and the color of the feathers. So a little concerned for my white leghorns. White leghorn is the one right here, and they're your typical, supermarket chicken egg, but they're an awesome breed. They forage really well. They lay consistently, and a lot of people think, oh, brown eggs are healthier than white eggs. That's BS. It's how the chicken is raised. It's feed and its lifestyle. And these guys have the perfect lifestyle. They're doing what they were bred to do. So, but I would assume that if I had another hawk attempt, that they would go after one of these white leghorns. But the leghorns are pretty good. They tend to they run for cover. They stay well hidden. So that's something you want in backyard chickens too. You don't want chickens that just kind of hang out in the middle of the yard and don't listen to their roosters and kind of do what they want to do. So that black guy back there, he's a whiting, and he kind of does that. He kind of does what he wants to do. He's very flighty too. He can fly over this 6-foot fence easily. So sometimes he'll fly out. I probably have to trim his wings so he doesn't fly out of the run area. But he'll do that, and he'll wander off and do his own thing. So that's probably a genetic trait that I probably don't want in a backyard flock. You don't want flighty loner type birds, because they're easy prey. But he's never been attacked, maybe because of the black color, but I can't say that because I've had a black Australof, a hawk get one of my black Australofs. So hawks don't they don't think black chickens are a threat. But I don't know. I think they tend to go after the smaller ones. And this year, smaller and lighter colored. So, like I said, this hawk was really after that white Americana. And the white Americana had shades of brown in the feathers too. So whitish brown, and no other chickens I have kind of resemble that. My leghorns are pretty much solid white, but their feathers are a little grayish, but I think that's just from the sand bass that they do. And I don't know, we'll see. I haven't had any losses besides the one this year, and they seem to be doing well, laying lots of eggs. They seem really happy, content, and a lot of them are out now, and especially when I'm around. When I'm around, they feel really safe, so they tend to venture out into these areas more often when I'm around, because if I'm near the coop area, the hawks, they stay within. If there's one around in a tree canopy up here, he would fly away when he sees me. They keep their distance. So just a nice, somber, quiet winter morning in the chicken yard.